Hello everyone, it's Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks very much for joining me. Today I'm doing the assembly tutorial for the Hat Suitcase Box. This project has been designed by Nicole Silhouette here on YouTube, and I shall link her YouTube channel in the description box below. The Hat Suitcase Box is available as a die set from Beki Store, and it is also available as a digital cutting file in Nicole's Etsy store, and I shall link both of those in the description box below. For today's tutorial I am using the cutting die set. So I have all my pieces cut out and I shall go through them with you now. So first up I have the pieces that are for the lid, and the base pieces are underneath. So we'll talk about the lid first. We have these two shapes here. You'll cut this twice. Next up we have these two pieces, and you can see where I've gone ahead and put the double-sided tape. These two pieces form part of the front side of the lid and the back side of the lid. And we've got these pieces here which make up the sides of the lid. And you can see where I've gone ahead and put the double-sided tape on the glue tabs. And also on the back side of those larger glue tabs, they will fold down like so to give the sides of the box strength. So moving on to these pieces here, these form part of the lid, and we'll talk a bit more about those a little bit later, but there are two of them and a smaller rectangle piece, and I've gone ahead and put double-sided tape on the other side so that the piece can fold in and be strong. So I'll put those pieces aside and we'll talk a bit more about those later when we're putting the lid together. So I'll move on to the base of the box now, and you'll need another two of these. So the same die will cut both pieces for the lid and the base. You'll cut it 4 times in total. Then we have these two pieces here, similar to what was shown for the lid, but these are longer. So these are the front of the base of the box and the back of the base of the box. These two pieces here are the sides of the box, so you'll need 2, and you can see I've gone ahead and put double-sided tape along the glue tabs and on the inside edge of those ones, which will fold down as before to give the sides of the base of the box some strength. This last piece here is the hinge, so that's got double-sided tape ready to go. Moving on now, I'll talk about the pieces of the handle, and that's what these pieces are here. So you need one of these. This is the decorator panel for it. There's also 2 of these which hold these pieces here once you've joined them together. I've cut more than I need of those, but that's okay. You only need 4. And they'll join together like so. They'll get inserted into that buckle piece. I'll talk a bit more about that later. I've also got my closure for the box, and this is exactly the same as the one that Nicole used on hers, and I shall link where I got mine in the description box below. And I've got some brads there to attach them. I've got the decorator panels here, and you can see that I've got silver for my trim pieces, and I've used this pretty embossed paper for the other pieces inside the trim. I'll talk a bit more about this paper at the end of the tutorial. So we'll get started now and we'll put this hat suitcase box together. I have all the pieces ready to go, and we'll get started with the base of the hat suitcase box first. So to begin with, we need this round shape and both of these two shapes here. The rest we'll just put to the side for the time being. And you can see where these are going to be positioned. We'll just work on this back side of the hat suitcase box first. I'm just joining the glue tab to that edge on that circular part and giving it a burnish. I'll do the same on the other side. The short side is the front of the hat suitcase box, and the longer side is the back side where the hinge will go. So I'm just pressing both of those down, and this is what you should have. We won't glue them in just yet. We'll just move on to putting the sides on. So these pieces here are the sides of the box, and you can go ahead at this point and take the backings off the adhesive of those larger tabs and fold them down. This gives the box, the sides of the box, strength. So just give that a good burnish to make sure the glue gets a good stick, and I'll do the same with the other one. Just taking the last of the backings off and folding that down. And that's the inside of the hat suitcase box. I'm going to give these pieces a little bit of curvature because the shape is round that we're attaching it to. And it just helps with putting these pieces together. I'm going to remove the back, this is how it'll go, like so. So I'm going to remove the backings of the adhesive on all the glue tabs, even these side ones. And I'm sorry while I just get sorted here. And I'm going to attach that large glue tab to this piece here that's at the side, just taking care to line it up. It's taking me a couple of goes here, that's okay. And then I'm going to carefully line up the glue tabs along that curved shape. It does come together fairly easy, especially if you give the shape some curvature before you start gluing it down. Just take your time, line it up as precisely as you can, and everything will match up at the other end. And you can attach that glue tab to there. I'm just going to fold those tabs out of the way so I can get in here and push down on those glue tabs on the inside with my burnishing tool. And that's looking really good. The roundness shape does come together more as the box gets finished. So I'm just removing the glue tabs off the other side, and I'm going to do it in exactly the same way. You can of course use glue to put your hat suitcase box together. So I'm just going to attach that larger side tab to the back wall of the hat suitcase box, just pressing it down, and then I'm going along here and pressing down those glue tabs, attaching those glue tabs to the rounded edge. And again, they go together quite nicely. Just take your time and be as precise as you can. And then joining it up. Like so. Just give it a good press, making sure those tabs on the inside are pressed down. Just using my burnishing tool. Now we can go ahead and fold these tabs in. So I'm going to remove the backings off the adhesive, and I'm indicating there that once we've folded those tabs in, they'll cover what we've just joined on, so you won't see any tabs on the inside. And of course it gives the strength to the walls. Just folding that down and giving it a good press. And that's the base of our box. Don't worry that it might look a little bit pointy in spots. The shape does come together as you go on with the making of your hat suitcase box. So this other piece goes inside, and that will cover up the glue tabs there. So I'm just using glue here so that I have the wriggle room to be able to maneuver it around. This is a snug fit. It's not like a decorative layer that goes over the top. This is actually part of what helps give this the shape it needs. So it is a snug fit. So I'm just going around making sure that it's in place nicely. And that's the base of our hat suitcase box done. So I'll move on now to the lid, and that's put together in exactly the same way. So to begin with, we're going to start off with one of the circular shapes and these two pieces here. The other two we'll put aside for the time being with the other circular shape. That goes together in the same way as the base of the box. So I'm just taking the backings off and putting it into place, being as precise as I can. And the shapes for the lid are pretty much the same as the shapes for the base, except they're shorter. obviously, because the lid is shorter. So we're at this point now, and it's time to put the sides on. So I'm just removing the backings and folding down, same as I did before with the base. And again, I'll give these pieces some curvature as well, as that will assist in placing these parts onto the lid of the box, which I'm doing now. Then I remove the glue tabs. And then I'll stick it into place onto the hat box lid. Attaching that tab to that back wall. And then going around the curved edge with those other tabs. Taking my time, pressing them into place along that curved edge. Being as precise as I can. And then closing up that side to the inside front wall there. Press it down with my burnishing tool and do the same thing on the other side. And just removing the backings here. You can always fast forward this part if you like. And then I'm going to attach that larger glue tab at the side to the inside of the front of the lid of the box. Press it into place and then go along the curve with the other tabs, attaching them, taking care to be as precise as I can. And joining it to the back wall. So again, with the lid, the short side is the front and the back side is the back. Or sorry, the long side is the back. So I'm going to take the backings off those larger tabs, fold that in. Again, that will cover the other tabs, so you won't see any glue tabs on the inside of the box, neither the lid nor the base. Then we'll put this other shape in. Again, I'm going to use glue and it's going to cover those glue tabs. Again, it's a snug fit, and this will assist with the shape of the lid. Just taking care to line it up here and put it into position. And pressing it all down. So we've got our lid here and our base. But when you put them on top of each other like so, it doesn't really look nice. So that's why Nicole made the other part that we talked about briefly earlier. And that's these pieces here. I've also brought in the hinge too. So we've got these two pieces here, and I've put tape on the inside, and I'm going to remove the backings and fold this down so that that's a nice strong piece. Do the same with the second one, fold it down. So this is going to go inside the lid. The folded side will be facing up, as I'm showing here. You don't want the split side, the side where it's joined, to be facing down, otherwise it'll possibly split when you shut it. So I'm just giving that shape some curvature and I'm putting it into position. It will go right down to the bottom edge and line up. The two perforated lines will line up, the perforated line on the lid and the perforated line on the piece. And I've got that pushed down to the base where I'm indicating here, and I'm going to put a line with my pencil on either side of that score line. And that's just going to be indication for me where to put the tape or glue, depending on what you're using. So I'm just getting my double-sided tape here, and I'm going to run it on the widest part. I'm sorry, I'm a bit out of frame here. I was concentrating on what I was doing. Like so. And then I get a smaller double-sided tape, so there's tape along there, and you can see that almost 1/4 of an inch gap at the top. That's what will hang down, if that makes sense, and that's the folded edge. So I'm going to remove the backings and put this into position. This is a bit tricky when you're using double-sided tape, so you'll need to take care here. If you use glue, it's not so bad because you can wriggle it around. So what I'm doing is I'm lining it up against that corner, curving it, holding it in a way where it's not going to stick firm to begin with. I'm just making sure I'm getting it into position, and that fold line in that corner there lines up with the fold of the lid of the box. And once I'm happy with it, I'm pressing it into place, like so. And this is creating like a lip for the lid of the box so that it'll close down nicely onto the base. So I'm just getting the other one and putting it in position the same way. Just get my pencil and make a line either side of the score line. There's a score line on the piece you're putting in, which matches up with that front side of the lid of the box. I'm going to put my tape on. Again, I'm sorry I'm out of frame here. Now, sometimes I forget that I'm filming. I disappear out of frame. And I'm just putting an extra small piece down the bottom there. Oh, sorry, at that top piece. Just trimming it off. And there should be a little 1/4 inch part down the bottom there, and that will be the part that creates the lip. So I'm just giving it some curvature, taking off the backings, and I'll put that into position as well. So again, taking care to line it up and holding it in a way where it's not going to grab until I'm ready for it. So that score line there is what I'm talking about. It lines up with there. I'm just lining that up and being careful that it doesn't grab anywhere else. And it goes right down to the bottom. So that way you know that it's straight. So I'm just taking care here to line it up as precisely as I can, and then pressing it down once I've got it into position. And then this little rectangle piece goes inside and gets attached like so. Now I do have a little gap in between my pieces at the front there. You can see it. I'm not overly bothered by it. If you are, you could bring the pieces in a bit closer so that they join. But it's not really a big deal. Just pressing that into place. And now I'm going to position that lid on the base of the box so that you can see how it looks. And that lip really does help the lid sit on nicely, as I'm showing here. So the next part here is to attach the hinge onto the back. And there is only one way for this to go, which is this way. If you turn your piece this way, there's a gap at the top, which you don't want that. So turn it back around to there. There is only one way for it to go. So I'm just taking the backings off the double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to line this up. And this is very awkward because I want you to see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to pick it up and hold it and do the best I can. So I've got it positioned nicely on the lid and on the base before pressing it down. And the first time you fold this back when you open the lid, you will need to help it and guide it and tell that hinge piece what it's got to do. So you can see I'm being quite firm here, pushing it down once it's opened and pressing it in place so that the glue's getting a good stick. So the paper remembers what to do. And it looks nice and neat on the back there. Opening and closing quite well. And when the lid's closed, it looks nice like this. So now it's time to put my decorative panels into place, and I'm going to speed the footage up whilst I do this. And you can see that I'm putting in my trim pieces first, and the other pieces just go inside like a die cut inlay. And I'm just pressing it down. Because I'm using embossed paper, it's very tricky, so it requires a little bit of extra pressing down of the glue, and it does use a little bit more glue. I'm just getting all the trim pieces on. And then I'll put in the inlay pieces. It is worth noting with this die set that for the decorative panels for the outside of the box, the pieces that I'm working on now, you do only get the trim pieces, which in my case here are the silver trim pieces that I'm gluing on now. So what I did was I cut from silver cardstock and this embossed paper, and so I kept the fallout pieces, and they became my decorative panels in between the silver trim pieces. Nicole did that so that the die set wouldn't be too expensive, and in reality these pieces are only rectangles, so they'd be easy to cut to size yourself if you wanted to. But I think doing the die cut inlay for myself personally, you don't have to do it this way if you don't want to, I think it creates less bulk, and I think it's a nice neat finish. So, but it is up to you, that's just my personal opinion. And I did the same with the other handbag as well. I did it as a die cut inlay, even though I used the digital cutting file. So the digital cutting file has all the other panels as well. But I just like doing it this way. As I said, it has a nice neat look and it's less bulk. But again, it's entirely up to you. You could cut the panels manually if you like and put the trim pieces over the top. Entirely up to you. And that's the beauty when you're making your own project. Do what works for you, what you like the look of. My tutorials are only ever a guide. In the end, you can make your project yours, doing it in any way that you like. No one will ever come along and say, oh, you shouldn't do it like that, or you should do it like this. Paper crafting is a entirely individual thing, and you can put things together and decorate them in exactly the way that you please. So I'm just finishing up here, getting all the panels on, and I'm happy with the way that this is looking. I love that look of that embossed paper. So I'm going to move on now and put the handle together, and I've got the pieces here. So there's this piece here, these two pieces here, these four, and I've got two cut of normal paper, these are cut of silver, and the decorative panel for the handle. So I've cut these in silver, I've got 4 in silver, and I'm going to sandwich a white one in between. And that's just to give it a little bit of extra strength. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. So I'm just getting that into position, making sure that glue's getting a good hold, and I'll do the same with the other one. And there's our second one. So I'll just put that to the side to dry for the time being. And I'm going to put the decorative panel in place onto the handle. In my case it's silver to tie in with everything. Then we're going to join these silver loops onto these white pieces, and you will need to bend like so to fit the loop over. And then I'm going to apply glue just to the rectangle part there where the holes are. And glue that other side to it. And that loop can move freely inside that other piece. Going to do the same thing to the other one. Bend it, slide the loop over, and then glue it shut. Only on the rectangle piece there. Then we're going to attach these to that main handle piece. So I'm just going to remove the backings from the tape and slide the silver loop over the end. Bring it down just past the little score line there and fold that adhesive side against the back of the handle there. And do the same thing on the other end. Just pressing it down, making sure it's got a good hold. And that's our handle done. Ready to put on our hat suitcase box. So I went ahead and put the handle onto the hat suitcase box, and you can see that here. I just positioned it evenly across the centre there and attached with glue and also brads. Just giving you a look all the way around. And the closure that I've put on mine is exactly the same as Nicole's. And I'm just about to open the box. It opens nicely. And you can see where the brads went through there, and I think if I was going to give this to someone, I would put cardstock in there and cover that up so that you couldn't see them. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's quite a big box. It's a great size to put a gift in for someone for their birthday. You could decorate this in a very masculine way as well and put a present in there for a guy too, and that would look great. I can't wait to see what you all make with it and how you decorate it. I decided not to put any flowers or any other decorations on this box. I think it looks nice like it is, and I didn't want anything to take away from that beautiful embossed paper. And I love the way that my hat suitcase box turned out. Now, there were a couple of extra dies included in the die set that I did not use, and I'll show them to you here. These pieces are if you'd like to add a shoulder strap to your hat suitcase box. I decided not to do that with mine, but the option is there if you'd like to do that with yours. Just before I finish up the tutorial today, I thought I'd bring that piece of embossed paper back in to show you. And what I'd like to let you know is that I'll be putting a link in the description box below to where I got this paper from. The supplier is in Australia, but I did notice on their website that they do ship internationally. So it's worth going over there and having a look. I'm not sure what the shipping costs would be or whether it'd be worth it, but it's definitely worth having a look. The paper is available in different embossed patterns and also different colours. So that's my tutorial finished for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching and that you feel inspired to make one of these hat suitcase boxes. I'd love to see what you all do. And if you post on Instagram, I'm sure Nicole would love it if you tagged her at Nicolespapercrafts. And you can also tag me if you want to. I'd love to see. Mine is at TF's Papercrafts on Instagram. And Nicole also has a Facebook group that you can post to as well called Silhouette Designs from Nicole. Don't forget to check the description box down below for the links that I've previously mentioned. And if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really love that too. Thanks very much for watching today. Have a great day, and until the next tutorial, it's bye for now.